This is the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show.
Another tough Missouri Valley Conference matchup today as the number 5 ranked NDSU Bison take on the number 21 ranked Youngstown State Penguins in Youngstown, Ohio. Good afternoon and welcome to the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show. I'm your host, Chris Berg, along with Alex Egan. Our analyst, DJ Colt, will be joining us in just a few moments, and our entire team's going to be with us from Youngstown as we get ready for today's big game. We've got some great analysis, some really good inside stories for you that are must-see TV. But before we talk football, I do want to take a moment and ask everyone out there to really keep the people of Paris in your thoughts and prayers after last night's devastating terrorist attack. All right, Alex, let's talk some football now. And obviously last week, I think I said, 59-0, right, for last week's performance? Didn't I guess that score?
No way. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You called 59-0. No way.
I was this close. Nobody saw that coming. It was such a dominating performance last week. But before we look forward at this week, let's take a quick look back, my man.
Yeah, the Bison coming off their best offensive performance of the season, gathering 59 points in total, thanks in part to 4 passing touchdowns, and maybe the catch of the season right there, from Easton Stick. We've seen he can run the football. Now he gives other teams something else to contend with. That's scary. He made some beautiful throws Saturday against Western Illinois. The defense also getting in the scoring act with the pick 6 from Pierre G. Tucker. And the Bison held a rushing attack averaging close to 140 yards to just 33. 33 yards. And we know why. It was all the green helmet and the gold jersey, Chris Berg.
There it was. Another great ball there by Easton Stick. Here's obviously the schedule up to this point. Only 2 losses, which bodes well after Illinois State lost last week to South Dakota State. With that being said, let's look at the Missouri Valley Conference standings. Big game today, and I want to get your thoughts on this quickly, Alex. You've got South Dakota State at USD. USD came here, upset. You've got an interstate rivalry going on. Can USD pull off the upset today?
Man, it's at USD. You know, the Dakota Dome, I believe is what they call that down there. I've been there. The Dakota Dome will be rocking today. It'll be a fun atmosphere for both USD and SDSU. Does SDSU have the magic? They were playing really good football.
Can the coach that you love coach him up today and get him amped?
Look, Joe Glenn is a man amongst men, all right? Joe Glenn, he's a fantastic football coach, and, I mean, they've proven that they can beat top-tier talent. Even, it doesn't matter that NDSU probably didn't play their best game. They know that they can beat teams that are good teams. So I think if they come out with a game plan just like they had one against NDSU, if they come out with a game plan against SDSU, USD, man, don't be surprised if they come away with a win.
Boy, that would just, I mean, it's already kind of a mess in the Missouri Valley Conference. These guys upset SDSU, it's just going to be wow.
I tell you what, if South Dakota wins today, you might as well call the Missouri Valley the Big Sky, because it would just be a jumbled mess.
Whoa. Don't even go there. Don't even go there, Egan.
In terms of standings, come on now. The conference standings is a good one. But let's focus on today's game. And before we focus on the game, we got to focus on the tailgating. Let's get you out to Youngstown, Ohio. Beth Wool standing by with our Northland Ford Dealers Tailgate Report.
Thanks, guys. I'm joined out here with my friends Trent and Brady. We're here just outside the stadium. You can see it there behind us, tailgating. Brady, you're from Moorhead. How exciting is it to be joining the Bison here on the road in Youngstown?
Very exciting.
How's the tailgating going? How much fun are you having? How excited are you to see the Bison play the Penguins today?
I'm having lots of fun out here, and I'm ready to kick some Penguin butt.
I like it. All right, so you're from Wyoming, actually. You've made the trek out here, joined the bus in Chicago. How much fun is it to be here for you, and what's it mean to be able to come see the Bison?
It's fun. We don't get to do this too often, and it's a fun experience.
It's a little chilly out here, though. Are you guys ready to heat things up in this football game?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What's your prediction?
52-0 Bison.
52-0 Bison, ruining the senior day out here. How about it? Well, thanks, boys, for joining me. That's another Northland Ford tailgating report, guys. We'll catch you later.
Hopefully that young man is prophetic. That's quite the prediction.
What did he say, 52-0?
52-0. Oh, my goodness.
That would be something.
As always, great job, Beth. We appreciate it. We got plenty straight ahead for you today on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show. We're going to take you inside the film room next. DJ Coulter and I also. Great piece from Beth. She sat down with offensive coordinator Tim Polisic, get his thoughts on, hey, when Carson Wentz is back, Are they going to stick with Wentz or stick with Stick?
Plus, we'll get you back out to Youngstown to get our team's thoughts on today's game, and we'll hear from head coach Chris Kleiman as his team gets ready for their second to last regular season game right here on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show.
You know, there's always a sense of urgency, but, you know, we're never panicking. We're never, you know, eager to, you know, thinking that we're not, you know, that we're uncomfortable with one each other and that we don't feel like we know what we're doing. So it just really helps.
There he is. That's Coach Chris Kleiman yesterday watching his son play in the North Dakota State Class 2A championship football game as Shanley took on Beulah. Coach stayed behind from the team flight to watch his son play. And there you can see his son Devin even had a little pick in the game. But unfortunately, Shanley ended up losing. But congrats to Beulah and Shanley, obviously, for a great game and great seasons. Love to see Coach stick around, put his family first. That made major kudos for a lot of people. All right, welcome back to the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. I'm Chris Berg along with DJ Coulter. We're going to take you inside the film room just a moment, talk about the big change, obviously, at quarterback for the Bison. But first, we're going to take you out to Youngstown, where Beth Houle is standing by with Coach Chris Kleiman. Beth?
Thanks, guys. Joined by Coach Kleiman, a late arrival for you yesterday, but a special moment to be able to see Devin's last high school game. How great was that for you?
Yeah, it was really fun to be able to see him one more time, and I don't think it really hit him until the game was over that that's the last time he was going to step on a field for as a high school player. And it was a special moment for my family and I, and really appreciative for Matt Larson and Jack Mon to make that happen for us.
Well, now you're here. Now it's game time. Getting ready for this one. The offense has been on a run, literally, with the run game as of late. How important is it to keep that going this week?
Well, it's imperative. We have to be able to keep their great skilled kids off the field, and we've challenged the guys. We have to be able to run the ball, whether that is out of our conventional two-back, full-back, pounding it at them, or spreading them out and getting Easton involved more. We have to be able to control the line of scrimmage and keep those guys off the field.
You always get teams best because you are North Dakota State. It comes with 4-time defending national champions. You know you're going to get a team's best, but now you're playing a team that's also fighting for their lives. How dangerous is that in a football game?
Well, we've been doing that for the last 3 weeks. You know, Indiana State was, and so was Southern, and in reality, so have we been. So that's what it is in the Missouri Valley Conference, and everybody seems like they're always fighting to get to the next week, and that's what we've kind of challenged our guys on, is we're just fighting to get through the next week and try to go 1-0 this week, just like they are. And in this league, playing on the road is extremely tough. This is a great environment for football, and I assume it's going to be really loud. We've worked the noise this week because they're going to be a factor, and our guys have to be able to handle some of those adverse things.
Well, thanks so much for your time as always, guys. That's it for Coach Kleiman. We'll see him at halftime.
Thanks, Coach. Thank you, Beth. DJ, any quick thoughts on that?
Well, I'm excited to see how the Bison play on the road. Kind of the elements might be cold. You know, you got to remember, too, a big win like that. Could they have a letdown game? We'll see.
All right, let's take you inside the film room. All right, DJ, I think everybody really had some questions about the rest of the season when Carson Wentz went down, yet the offense really hasn't skipped a beat. And I want to share with you what I think are some pretty fascinating stats. We're going to look at the Bison schedule up to this point. First 6 games when Carson Wentz was in at the starter, NFL-type quarterback, potential Walter Payton finalist. They averaged just over 31 points per game, DJ. Last 3 games, redshirt freshman Easton Stick, they're averaging over 40 points per game, over 320 yards rushing. The offense, in my opinion, clearly has not sputtered as much as people anticipated. The big question is, why? What's going on here?
Yeah. I think there's probably maybe 3 things that we got to factor in here. Number 1, the offensive line got healthy and is playing a lot better. Number 2 is, people don't always remember, too, when the defense plays better and doesn't allow the other team's offense to have long, sustained drives, that takes less pressure off that QB to make plays to win the game down the stretch, which Carson's had to. Number 3 is, don't forget, when you have a redshirt freshman, when he went down, you have to think that all the upperclassmen, the juniors and seniors, said, it's our time. We're not going to allow a redshirt freshman to come in here and take all this responsibility on. We need to help him out. I mean, look at that touchdown by Vra. But I mean, that was special last week.
It's very special. We're going to show that in a minute, but I want to get at the point you played, I played, when you get into Tuesday and it's time for install. When you got a guy like Carson Wentz, potentially was Coach Polisek, the offensive coordinator, coming and going, hey, man, I got this stud guy. You know, if we go and put him in the NFL, we're going to be able to continue to recruit NFL-type quarterbacks. Let's install 50 plays on Tuesday rather than 25 plays. And maybe for some of the guys on the team, 50 was just too much. It was just too much for these guys to get really, really good at. Where now, hey, they got 25 plays, or I'm picking arbitrary numbers, obviously, but it's a smaller install. It's less to perfect, and now they're getting really good at running.
Yeah. You got to remember, this offense has been all around the run game. They have reestablished that run game. It's all focused around the running back. All these running backs are starting to blossom. Everyone earlier in the year, oh, they're playing too many running backs, all this. Now all these guys that have been playing, it's starting to pay off some, and you're seeing them both out of the run game and the pass game.
But you're not answering my question. Was there possibly too much install going on?
Could have been.
Got it. Yeah, and I think a lot of times, the other thing, too, is maybe Polasek was like, you know what, we'll just go with Wentz check with me, which means Wentz comes up to the line, he surveys the defense, and obviously he can call the plays from there. I don't know that. I don't call the plays, but obviously you feel like you can lean on a fifth-year senior. So.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, just think if you're the offense coordinator, Chris. You got to possibly.
And if I'm Wentz, I want that. I'm going to Polasek every Monday going, hey, coach, let me call the plays. I can see the weaknesses here. Let me do my thing. I can exploit them. I mean, Carson's so talented at running the ball, throwing the ball, play action. Now you bring in, we got a redshirt freshman quarterback here who Easton his talent's running the ball and running out in those, we do some play action, we run him out. And then he can get a wide open receivers and rolling out. Show some plays here of these guys in action. If we can bring this up, please. And this is, Carson Wentz here. This is last year against Youngstown State. Again, tremendous competitor, tremendous leader. Carson just rolls this guy, which I love that play, DJ.
Well, that's why Carson's so popular amongst both not only his teammates, coaches, but Bison Nation, because he's tough. He's not just an NFL passing quarterback. He's a great running quarterback.
Now watch this. This is Carson Wentz against Montana. He's got to make one guy miss. When it's a quarterback run, your duty is to make one guy miss. He did that. They score. This is the exact same play essentially with Easton Stick. Make the one guy miss. Like you said when we did this, beep, and he scores.
And Easton probably has more top-end speed there at the end. I mean, he can outrun people even easier than Carson.
The one thing that we want to see, and DJ, you and I talked about this a week or so ago from Easton Stick, and you're going to see this in a moment here with this great catch again by Vra. Yeah. He jumps over this guy. You're going to see another pass play in a moment from Easton Stick, but he, in my opinion, the place for growth for him is to start throwing the ball on time with obviously a little bit more accuracy. If we see that from this guy, I really believe it. And the coach from Western Illinois said this last week. These guys are unstoppable if they continue to play like this. 30 seconds, last word, sir.
Here's my take. The Bison have been the most talented team in FCS. They haven't always played like that. When they played South Dakota, honestly, there's not too many South Dakota kids that would start on this Bison team. But the last week was the first time they put it all together. They played to their talent. They coached their talent. It all came together. Boom.
And the big question that's lingering is, hey, when Wentz comes back, because that's going to come if they're in the playoffs, whose team is this going to be? Well, Beth Houle sat down with offensive coordinator Coach Polasek earlier this week. You're going to hear the answer to that question later on in the show. Now, straight ahead on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison football pregame show. The Bison have been very successful recruiting in a particular area that's produced a number of standouts for the green and gold, and it's a town that Peyton Manning loves to say, Omaha, Omaha. We're going to find out why Omaha has become such a hotbed for the Bison. Stay with us. Much more coming up.
Welcome back. A recent hotspot for Bison coaches to go and pluck talent from a different state has been the Omaha area, with players not choosing the University of Nebraska, but instead coming north to North Dakota State.
Yes, it's been a very beneficial relationship for the Bison. Beth Houle finds out why the Husker State is a pipeline for NDSU.
The Easton to RJ connection is easy to spot. High school teammates making their mark under the bright lights of college football.
And the Creighton Prep connection strikes once again.
But they're merely a pair of a larger group of guys from Omaha, Nebraska, who are helping keep Bison football at the top.
I was aware, a lot of people were aware, with Christian being up here, Dudzik, DeLuca, Tyler Rice. And there were a couple other guys, Jesse Hines and Kyle Emanuel, guys that were from the area and big names in high school.
In 2015, it's Nick DeLuca, Andrew Bonnet, Jalen Allison, and of course, Easton Stick and RJ Erzendowski.
There's maybe 2 or 3 kids who are going to the Big Ten every year, and then after that, there's a whole lot of football players who are looking for opportunities. And there's Division I football players in the state, and there's only one Division I football program in the state.
Offensive line coach Connor Riley is an Omaha native and played in the area himself. His connections to high school coaches can help, but the big key is that those coaches know what Bison football is about.
for the most part, a lot of those guys do understand the type of student athlete that we're looking for. So when they do have that type of player, I'm fortunate to have some connections that are saying, hey, you better take a look at this kid, or you better take a look at this kid at that particular school.
That's how the Bison found Nick DeLuca.
Honestly, in high school, I didn't really know a whole lot about NDSU. My coaches kind of told me they were recruiting me, and my coach obviously sent my tape up here and grew to know more and more about them. But going all through high school, I really didn't ever expect coming here, but I'm glad I made the decision to.
With the growth of sites like Huddle and the popularity of social media helping word spread of major prospects, Omaha is no longer a secondary market for talent. But the success of hometown guys is catching on.
Well, I think we've gained more followers, knowing that there's more Omaha guys up here and more just Nebraska guys.
A lot of guys are interested, and the awareness and the excitement of our program is growing. And so it's really cool to go back and kind of talk about our program and things we've been able to do.
People may have once thought the Husker State only fed Nebraska football, but the lengthy list of Nebraskans on the Bison roster proves otherwise. For the Bison Football Show, I'm Beth Houle.
You can catch more stories like this every week on the Bison Football Show with head coach Chris Kleiman, airing live Sunday mornings at 10:30 a.m. on KX and NBC out west, with a replay every Sunday night after the news on KVLY. We'll also throw it up on valleynewslive.com because we're just nice people, Chris Berg. We're just nice people. Still to come on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show, Beth Houle and our crew have an insider's look at Youngstown State. Stay with us.
They're going to run certain plays, and they're going to do it a certain way, and they understand how they want to do it. And in our case, you have to be able to. There's certain musts that you're going to have to carry over in your game plan. Certain things that you got to understand what they're trying to do and offset that.
Welcome back. Head coach for Youngstown State, Bo Pelini, talking right there about North Dakota State. Let's take a look today at the numbers for the Bison, nearly doubling their opponents in points. The rushing numbers have been almost video game-like the last 3 games. 971 yards in 3 games. That is unreal. And the Bison, well, they continue to dominate in the time of possession category. Last week against Western Illinois, the Bison had the ball for over 43 minutes. Now, Youngstown State, on the other hand, has been kind of like a yo-yo this year, just up and down week to week. The Penguins are pretty balanced on offense, averaging right around 200 yards each game through the air and on the ground. And the Penguins, well, they've had to deal with several injuries on their offensive line, specifically the center spot. They're onto their 3rd-string center today, which can definitely lead to some inconsistency on the offensive side. Now, let's go beyond the numbers and back out to Ohio. Beth Houle is standing by with more on the Penguins.
Hey, guys, I'm joined by Bob Hannon here with Youngstown State Radio. The Penguins coming into this game, how's this season been going? Are they rolling after last week's win, you think?
But that's a great question. Inconsistent. We narrowly lost Illinois State, then the next week blown out by South Dakota State. It's been a very team that's up and down. We can't get a gauge on this team. Defensively, we're very good. Offensively, I think that's the concern today. Can they generate enough offense to be able to play with North Dakota State? But week to week, it's been tough to gauge this team.
Is it fair enough to say that the injuries on the offensive line have been the hindrance there, or do you think there's just a lot of other things going on as well?
No question. We've lost 2 really good players on the offensive line. It's hurt our run game. We have 2 really good running backs, Martin Ruiz and Jody Webb. But if those guys up front aren't healthy, it makes it difficult. I also think inconsistent play at quarterback. Hunter Wells at times looks like an all-conference quarterback, but he's also thrown a couple key pick sixes, a couple losses. Too many mistakes also at the quarterback position, but the offensive line certainly has been a problem.
It's the first year for head coach Bo Pelini here. I know you just got to talk with him a little bit. How's that been going this season? How's that transition been?
I think tough. Coming in here, I think they changed the terminology. They changed the defensive philosophy. We've got some new players on defense. But Youngstown loves Bo Pelini. He's one of our own. He grew up here. He's tough. He's hard-nosed. He's blue-collar. Played his high school football here. So he's still in the honeymoon stage. Next year at this time, it better be better. But if we could win today and win next week at Indiana State, this could be a playoff team.
Well, best of luck today. Thanks so much for your time today, guys. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Beth. Let's bring in the other 2 members of our pregame show, the guys who will be on the call today, Brian Shawn and Lee Timmerman, with their thoughts on Youngstown State. Guys?
Guys, thanks so much. Brian Shaw and Lee Timmerman here at the Ice Castle. And yes,
All right, looks like we had some technical difficulties there. I'm not sure if we have that for you yet, but I will hand it off to Chris and DJ as they will break down Youngstown State. We'll try to get Brian and LT back for you. Chris, DJ?
Thank you very much, Alex. Love the video game stats about the rushing game, which obviously has been so dominant as of late for NDSU. But DJ, for you, when you look at Youngstown State, what do they need to do today to even have a chance to beat NDSU?
Yeah, they have to control the ball. They got two really good running backs. They got some speed at receiver, we'll see. And then defensively, they need to play really stout there with their front four.
We're going to take a look at the schedule of Youngstown State up to this point. You know, their schedule, you can see here, they've got 4 losses. I think the one game that really should jump out to people, obviously, was the loss to Illinois State. Illinois State's been having an outstanding season. They only lost by 2 there. It was at Youngstown State, so clearly these guys can show up and perform. You know, DJ just mentioned their defense. One thing to keep in mind is NDSU's been rolling on the rushing aspect of things. Right now, DJ, Youngstown State defense is ranked 59th in the nation against the rush. Obviously, NDSU much higher than that. I think these guys are just going to ground and pound all day.
Yeah, if NDSU gets into that second level with those, I think they're a little weaker at linebacker and the DBs. And if they can get past that stout front four, I think NDSU is going to put up some rushing yards.
I think one of the big things, too, this team is really missing an edge. I'm going to show you some plays here. Watch this quarterback after he throws a pick. You want to see guys that want to compete, and watch the effort from the quarterback, Trevor Welcher. He basically just gives up against Illinois State when it's 0-0. Now, maybe he wasn't going to get the guy, but at least show some effort. This shows off some of the speed here, DJ. This is their stud running back, Martin Ruiz. The guys have definitely got some wheels in the backfield.
Yeah, I mean, Youngstown has talent. Everyone knows that. I just see a real similar to Nebraska in that at times they just, like the Nebraska program the last 5 years has played so inconsistent, but they're talented. And so is Youngstown. So we'll see if Pelini brought some of his guys in. Pay attention to Pelini's, some of his defensive guys he brought in. We'll see if they make plays
I think
today.
your boy Pelini might take offense.
He's not my boy.
Just said, so.
He's not my boy. He's hurt Nebraska's program, and I always had a lot of respect for that program.
All right, let's get you back out to the thoughts and what obviously Brian Shaw and Lee Timmerman believe that Youngstown State needs to do today to pick up a W. Brian?
Guys, thanks so much. Brian Shaw and Lee Timmerman here at the Ice Castle. And yes, it feels like the Ice Castle where we are today here at Youngstown as NDSU takes on the Penguins in their final regular season road game of the season. LT, Youngstown, a team that I think we watched them play with the talent level they have, and we can't figure out why they are 5-4. And I think that's the overall question from everybody.
And I think the answer to that probably on the offensive side of the ball, and it boils down to the offensive line. 3 guys that started against Pittsburgh the beginning of the year, those 3 guys don't start, and the other 2 guys that did are playing different positions. But you talk about the names, we recognize them. I mean, you know, Wells is back at quarterback. You got Ruiz, you know, running the football. You got Stubbs and Williams. I mean, those are all names that if you follow the Penguins, you know. So you know the big play potential's there, but I don't think they'll have the ability to grind it out today. At least that's what the Bison are hoping.
Defensively, they've been able to put some pressure on opposing quarterbacks. They have had some disruptive plays, but there's also time they've gotten out of position and frankly gotten moved on the line of scrimmage. So I think it's going to be key for Youngstown today to try to at least hold their own in the trenches, so to speak.
They have the best defensive end tandem in the Valley. That's all the Bison coaches and everyone have told us that. So you got to look for those 2 guys. And actually, there's a 3rd guy in there, so they're pretty good. But the Bison are going to do a couple of things to try to counteract that. I think they're going to run a lot of 22 personnel, which is 2 backs and 2 tight ends. So I don't know if those defensive ends are used to having a tackle and a tight end on them. So that'll be one of the ways that the Bison start.
Special teams, it can come down to that. And we've seen the weapon that Ben LeCompte can be. We've also seen how teams that do not have strong punting or kicking games can adversely affect them. In Youngstown, they have a true freshman kicker who's been pretty good, but the punting game has not been great either.
No, it hasn't, and that's something where, you know, NDSU would certainly want to take advantage of it. And the one thing I think, if you look at the punt return in this case for the Bison, you know, I think Perkins has done a pretty good job of coming up and catching the ball. He hasn't had any great runs, but he also, by and large, hasn't let that ball bounce and do anything. It's probably the most unpredictable play in all of football is that punt. And so, you know, NDSU with LeCompte has certainly won that battle throughout the year.
All right, we'll see what happens as these 2 kick it off here in a little bit. We'll be back.
Thank you, gentlemen, and stay with us because straight ahead, the Bison coming into today's game relatively healthy. We'll tell you who's expecting to play in our injury report right here on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football Pregame Show. Stay with us.
Welcome back inside the Farmers Union Insurance Bison football pregame show. Let's get you out to Beth Houle in Youngstown, Ohio. She is standing by with our Sanford Orthopedic Sports Medicine Injury Report. Beth?
Thanks, guys. Another Sanford Orthopedic Sports Medicine Injury Report, joined by Dr. Bruce Pyatt. Thanks for joining us out here in Youngstown. Talking this week about bone bruises and just how you can get one of those and what it means.
Well, it depends on which part of the body we're talking about. There's a couple ways to get them. One is a direct blow, where you take a force to a part of the body that doesn't have a lot of cushioning. The most common areas we see that are some of the areas where bones are exposed in the hand, maybe around the hip. A hip pointer is kind of a type of bone bruise that we hear about. But you can also see it in joints, where if you get an abnormal load from the position that the leg or the extremity is in, it will bruise the bone. In those situations, we worry more about just the bone. In that situation, we worry about cartilage that covers that bone as well.
Can you play through something like that? Can you still be active with a bone bruise if it's in a joint area or somewhere like that?
We get a little more nervous about it around the joint because of the effects on the cartilage. And so in those situations, we'll often kind of pull things back on them for a little while, give them a few weeks to let the body recover, make sure that it's not degenerating into something more serious. Where if it's more one of these where it's a direct blow to some of the bones of the hand or the hip or something, then it's really a pain issue. And so those things we allow them to push through if they can tolerate it.
Well, thanks so much for all your advice and your expertise, guys. That's another Sanford Orthopedic Sports Medicine Injury Report. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Beth. Now let's look at who the Bison have listed on the injury report today. Just 2 players today listed. Chase Morlock, he's been dealing with an ankle injury for pretty much the entire season. He also had a shoulder earlier in the year. He didn't have to play too much against Western Illinois last week in the 59-7 win, so he will be used today, but in a limited basis. The big one missing today, defensive end Stanley Jones. He is out today, undergoing surgery on some cartilage in his knee. So the D-line, who were really dinged up in the Southern Illinois game, they were getting back to full strength, but now they will be without Jones today. All right, let's get you back out to Beth in Youngstown. She's made her way back out to the tailgate lot, and she has this Northland Ford Dealers tailgate report. Beth?
Hey guys, a little bit more tailgating for your Northland Ford tailgating report, joined by the Zeemers here. How can you use first trip to Youngstown, Ohio? What can you guys say so far?
So far, we've met a bunch of fans. They've been a good time. They've offered us, food and hospitality and shots, which, we do a lot of. So it's been a good time so far.
What can you say just about the hospitality and getting to see another group of passionate fans out here?
We love being around the fans who love their players. That's what this is all about. It's all about the players, and the fan support here is really, really good compared to some of the other places we've been this year. These guys are great.
And what are you most looking forward to about today's game? Last road game, Bison needed another big win here, looking to lock up that first week bye. I know your kids can certainly use a bye week.
We're looking for a good game. Everybody plays solid. Everybody stays healthy. It'd be nice to have a game like last week. I don't see that happening here. So, a solid win and nobody getting hurt is what we're really looking for.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. We'll let you guys get back to your tailgating here, meeting lots of new people out here, guys. We'll see you later.
Thank you very much, Beth. It looks like a lot of fun out there. Up next, Beth will sit down with Bison offensive coordinator Tim Polasek, and we get his thoughts on what has turned out to be a wild ride on offense this season right here on the Farmers Union Insurance Bison football pregame show. Stay with us. Welcome back. The worst nightmare for a coach, losing your starting quarterback. It became a reality for the Bison just a few weeks ago, but second-year offensive coordinator Tim Polasek and the offense switched from a balanced passing attack to a team running the football at will.
Beth Houle sits down with the man behind the play calls to get his thoughts on the quarterback change.
Your first thoughts when you found out that Carson was out for this season, just all the dreams, all the plans you had for this year, what were your initial thoughts?
Honestly, okay, what are we going to do to move forward and win with Easton? Fairly confident in, okay, we can put a plan together. We'll need to commit to this, this, and this. And then after that, it was for Carson, and just us talking in his future and hopefully being able to get him back in green and yellow at some time. It was hard because that kid has done everything that we've asked of him. We tell all the scouts, he is what NDSU football is. You know, on time, do more than you're asked to do. You know, do it to the best of your ability every day. There's no one that works harder in every individual drill than Carson Wentz.
But did you reevaluate a lot of these plays when you had to look at them with a redshirt freshman at the helm?
Not necessarily reevaluate. I think we have a pretty good idea, you know, of our system and our plays and what's there and what certain guys can and can't do. It's no different than potentially trying to move receivers into certain spots or asking running backs. You know, so much of what we do is personnel based. You know, when we try to keep pressure, it's like a Chinese fire drill. You know, we've got guys running on and off the field all the time. And for us, it's more about how do we put the kids in the best situation possible to be successful. You know, so it's not always the plays or the play call. It's the guys that are operating and executing.
You're a young offensive coordinator. You are certainly dealing with adversity here early on. Do you think an experience like this has maybe changed a little bit of how you approach it, maybe made you reevaluate some of your coaching?
Oh, no, not necessarily, Beth. Not that it's not a good question or well thought out question. I'm not going to change for anybody. You know, we go out there 100 miles per hour, and if they're in green and yellow, we coach them all the same. You know, and I think that some of this adversity in this season has been, you know, and we got a ball game to win. But this season's been slowly but surely pretty rewarding, okay, and we're not done. At the same time, you know, to change your style or to change this or change that, that's just not us. I've had a lot of success with a lot of the players. And so with each and every situation as a coach, you're constantly, man, questioning yourself, you know, reevaluating, you know, and then I've always circled back, quite frankly, man, we're doing it the right way. I believe in what we're doing. Let's keep pushing. You know, that's how you get young guys ready to go.
I know you're not going to like this question, but I have to ask. You guys get into the playoffs here. We're hitting that 6-8 week time frame that everyone was given for Carson Wentz. Are you excited to face that challenge and that decision, or is that even a decision? Is this Carson Wentz?
If he's healthy and he's 100%, you know, in my opinion, we'll move forward with Carson. That would be my guess. We have not had that conversation because all the emphasis is on going 1-0. You know, trusting the process, and if we stay true to that, we'll be in the playoffs, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there. You know, Carson Wentz is still the leader and the voice outside of Coach Kleiman that's on this team, and he's done a lot to earn the opportunity to be the starter. And I don't think it's a situation, one way or another, performance-based or not, that we've blown right past him yet. I mean, I would sign Carson Wentz to a lifetime contract if I could have him.
Good stuff there from Coach Polasek and Beth. Thank you very much, Coach, for your time on that. We'll post that up on valleynewslive.com here shortly. One more break, and we'll be taking you right up to kickoff. Get your snacks and beverages refreshed now. We'll be giving you our keys to today's games. Plus, check in on the weather. Could be a factor today. All that is next. Welcome back to the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. Taking a live look out at Youngstown, Ohio. 8 minutes, 26 seconds till we hand off our coverage to the guys out there. And we'll tell you this, no need to change the channel as we are just 8 minutes away from handing it off to our crew at the stadium in Youngstown, Ohio. North Dakota State and Youngstown State with Brian Shawn, Lee Timmerman in the booth, and Beth Hool on the sidelines. Let's get over to Storm Team meteorologist Robert Hahn to get the latest on the forecast for Youngstown, Ohio. Robert, thank you.
Yeah, things not too bad out there. We do have some clouds right now. It's chilly. Temperature is in the lower 40s in Youngstown, but things will be improving as we head through the afternoon. We'll see decreasing clouds. Temperature is not going to warm up too much, maybe getting into the mid-40s. Nothing doing in terms of precipitation on radar. Did have a little bit of rain and snow in that area overnight, but that has cleared on out of there. As we take a look at the rest of the afternoon, we're going to put that into motion. And yeah, the clouds get on out of there. Some sunshine by the end of the game, but again, it's not going to warm that game up too much. About the only fly in the ointment will be some breezy winds out of the west at around 15 miles per hour with some occasional stronger gusts, and those winds will also be decreasing along with the clouds as we head through the game. Not much of a warm-up, some mid-40s by about halftime, and wind chills in the 30s throughout the game. And again, the winds may affect the kicking game just a little bit as we head through the day.
Thank you very much, Robert. We'll get to our keys to the game in just a bit. Let's go out now and get Beth's final thoughts on the game before kickoff. Beth.
Hey, guys, well, it's a little chilly out here, but the team doctor is telling me this is football weather. This will be absolutely perfect for these guys, so there's little hindrances here in that regard. I think this game comes down to this Bison defense capitalizing against a limping Youngstown State offense. Hunter Wells does not want to run the football. So if they can drop back a little bit, take advantage of being able to defend that passing game when he looks for those receivers and hopefully pick him off just like so many teams this season have been able to do. This Bison defense could easily win this football game for North Dakota State. It's going to be an exciting one, guys. Chris, what do you think?
I'm going to give you my keys in just a moment. First, Alex, I want to hear from you. Your keys to today's game are?
Yeah, it's two simple games. If the Bison are going to be successful today, they need to follow the blueprint of their last 2 road games. Starting quick is a key component. The Bison took a 14-point lead at Indiana State, and the Bison had a 14-10 lead at half against Southern Illinois. What I think the Bison did well last week that they maybe didn't do in the previous weeks was keeping the pressure on. They got to keep scoring. So if you go in with the mentality of no lead is safe, I think the Bison can get it going today. DJ?
Yeah, the strength to this Youngstown defense is that front four. As LT said, those DNs are special. If the Bison can handle them up front, they're going to get going and running the ball when they get in that defensive backfield. Secondly, Youngstown has some speed that maybe the Bison hasn't seen in a little bit, both at the skill position receiver and running back. So can the Bison defense adjust to that speed for Youngstown?
A couple of my keys to the game are pretty simple. Run, Frazier, run. Again, the Bison need to run the ball 45 to 50 times a day to pick up a win. Want to remind you, Youngstown State rush defense ranked 59th in the nation. Not very good. These guys are going to be running the ball like crazy. And obviously, what happens there when you control the football, you're going to dominate the time of possession. Sometimes, obviously, the best defense is a great offense. If you're not on the field, it's pretty tough to score some points.
Yeah, let's take a look at the bigger picture of what today's game means. And these are kind of DJ's playoff predictions. These are the teams, DJ, that you think are going to get the automatic bids into the FCS playoffs.
Yeah, and people got to remember, all the Bison Nation out there, is that this is a unique year. Most years, if you lost to 2 teams that are probably not going to make the playoffs like the Bison have, you're not going to be a top seed. I think the Bison can be that 2nd seed, guys. And if they get in rolling the way they've been playing, they're going to roll right into Frisco.
Well, and I think the one other thing that you look at is out of the Big Sky, Southern Utah, a team that's been up and down this year. They have some big wins, but the Big Sky, they're not as dominant as they have been in the past. So the NCAA, as you brought up last week, they like to sell tickets, and so they want to go to where the money's going to be made for those home games, and that's a big key for the NCAA when they're seeding these guys.
Teams you don't see on there is Coastal Carolina, James Madison, powers like the Montana State. NCAA is a little scared right now financially of FCS-wise because they don't have those big power programs winning, and that's scary right now.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun thing to look at as we get through the last couple weeks of the regular season. Let's get back onto today's game. And we'll talk about our Bobcat heavy lifting player today. It's offensive lineman Joe Haig. DJ, you mentioned it. LT mentioned it. They've got some good studs on the defensive line for Youngstown State. So he and the Rams, they've done such a good job of opening holes for the running backs and for Easton Stick to run through. But in talking with people associated with Youngstown State, defensive end Derek Rivers, he's got the ability to play at the next level. Now, if I'm him and I'm smart, I'm not going up against Haig, who also can play at the next level. But it's on Haig and the rest of the O-line to protect Stick and then just keep the run game going. Over 900 yards the last 3 games on the ground. You got to get that game established, and I think Joe Haig will be a big reason.
And it's going to, again, Youngstown State, 59th in the nation, rush defense. Believe me, the Bison will establish the run and obviously hold the time of possession. Let's take a look at today's quarterbacks fairly quickly. Youngstown State's got a young man by the name of Hunter Wells that typically starts. Last few games, though, guys, have been playing 2 quarterbacks because Hunter Wells, and we heard it throughout today's show with people talking about Youngstown, he's been very, very inconsistent. 7 INTs this year. A few of them have been very costly for this team. So they bring in a young man by the name of Ricky Davis who can run the ball pretty effectively. Look at Hunter, negative 40 yards rushing, no rushing touchdowns. Bring in Ricky, and obviously he's going to do pretty well.
Now, Ricky Davis is talking with some folks associated with Youngstown. Ricky Davis, he is their running threat, but he can also throw the ball too. So a little bit like what Bison fans have seen out of Easton Stick. He can run the football, no problem, but he can also throw the ball as well. So when he's in there, it's still a 2-dimensional game for Youngstown State, and the Bison will have to defend both if Ricky Davis comes in.
Let's take a look at Easton Stick's numbers. He continues to improve his passing numbers. I mean, last week, and you talked about this at the beginning of the show, Alex, 4 touchdown passes last week. Obviously, that is fantastic. So dual threat here as well. I think it's going to be tough for Youngstown State to be able to defend both. But I will say this, their pass defense is ranked number 2 in the nation. So they know what they're doing there. That's why I think you're going to see the Bison run the ball a ton today. I got to get this in very, very quickly. A shout out to the Bismarck Century Patriots. They ended up being the Class 3A state championship winners yesterday, but a phenomenal. This made the ESPN top 10 plays number 3.
Before we get to this, the Fargo Dome has had some love on ESPN the last couple of weeks. I mean, with Ron's catch last weekend, and then a play out of the Dakota Bank Bowl out there for the NAIA guys playing out there, the front flip that was on the top 10, and now this. Something's in the water at the Fargo Dome. I want whatever it is so I can be on ESPN's top 10.
Quickly, let's take you out of this. Again, this made the top 10 last night. This is quarterback Feeney here. He throws it to Adam Geiger. They're calling this the Odell Beckham Jr. one-handed grab. There it is. That was a great catch. He ended up having another great catch at the end of the game as well.
Actually, right here, this is an interception that he had as well. Adam Geiger, love to you. You played a fantastic game. Bismarck Century ended up winning that game 28-21 over Minot last night. Congratulations to all of those state champions. What a fantastic day of football out at the Fargo Dome, and we're hoping it's going to be a fantastic day of football out in Youngstown,
It is going
Ohio
to be.
today.
I got to tell you guys, I'm looking at this game all week, and you watched last week and going into this week, and some of you said, hey, maybe this is a sleeper game. I don't see it. I see the Bison coming out, like the young man said at the tailgating. I'm not going to say 52-0, but I think the Bison roll today.
Which team shows up from Youngstown?
Yeah.
Is it the talented team? Is it the team that just gives up a lot of points and doesn't have an effort, like you pointed out? We'll see.
Is it the team that lost in overtime to a very good Illinois State team, or is it the team that didn't show up and multiple times they haven't shown up this year, and just which team are we going to get? You never know.
And you see the weather, it's a little bit chilly out there. Again, I think that bodes well for the Bison with their run game, so I think we're going to see a great performance again from the Bison offense, and the defense will step up as well. DeLuca's been playing out of his mind. If he plays even anywhere near what he's been playing as of late, we're going to be just fine. Thank you so much for joining us today. DJ, Alex, myself, Chris Berg, have a great